Switch 2 doesn't have any games! Give us 3D Ice Climbers! Nintendo's gonna go third party at this rate! Switch 2 is failing! The Switch 2 is coming up on its first year, and I'm surprised to see how much division there is in regards to how well this year has gone for Nintendo. It feels like there are a lot of people who are angry or dissatisfied with how Nintendo has chosen to handle the Switch 2 launch year, so I thought it would be fun to compare it to Switch 1, Nintendo's golden era that is regarded as one of gaming's best. What was so different from back then that made it so special compared to now? And what could Nintendo have done differently for the Switch 2 to recapture some of that success? Well, first, we can talk about the obvious elephant in the room. Switch 2 is way more expensive than the first Switch. You just can't argue that. The system is $150 more expensive, soon to be $200, and now Nintendo is charging up to $80 for certain games. A plus though is variable pricing. Nintendo is not only pricing certain games at a cheaper price, but also offering them for $10 less digitally. And you can pick these games up physically at the discounted price at select stores. I'm not gonna lie. When Nintendo introduced the concept of variable pricing, I rolled my eyes because I really didn't think it was ever gonna be for anything other than making games more expensive. But I was proven wrong. It's surprisingly been pretty good, at least in the second half of this first year. Yeah, we had our Mario Tennis Fevers and our Mario Kart Worlds that, for lack of a better term, awfully priced. But now we know that games like Splatoon Raiders and Star Fox can be as cheap as $50. Overall though, despite that, I would still have to say that pricing is definitely a big hurdle. And at least for me, the biggest pill to swallow when it comes to Switch 2. Before, when the Switch was just $300, it felt like a no-brainer for gaming on the go. But the gaming landscape has changed. There are so many handhelds now that I can see why the Switch 2 being $450 makes you question getting one over something like a Steam Deck that's only gonna be $50 more now. Unless you really like Nintendo games, it's not really a no-brainer anymore. Which is why it's now more important than ever for Nintendo to put out quality games, for people to feel like they have a good reason to buy the Switch 2, and, well, have they? No! They've only put out dog shit! All their games are for children. They haven't even put out Super Mario Titans. Okay, let's see the list of notable Switch 2 exclusives. I'm not counting that, wheelchair basketball game. We know that one was trash. Mario Kart World.
Great, Nintendo is setting a standard for the rest of the industry. This proves Nintendo is just another corrupt company.
Welcome Tour.
Should have been free.
Donkey Kong Bonanza. Banana. Age of Imprisonment.
Great, another Warriors game.
Kirby Air Riders. Okay, that one's cool. But also, we just got Mario Kart. Mario Tennis Fever.
$70? Okay.
Pokopia.
Not gonna lie, I can't believe this game actually sold well. Lucky break, Nintendo.
Yoshi and the Mysterious Book.
Baby's first platformer again.
People keep saying that there aren't any Nintendo exclusives, and I look at them like, come on, really? There aren't any games? I didn't even include some of the games that are Nintendo exclusives, but they're also coming to Switch 1. There are games coming out. I think there is something to be discussed about the kind of games coming out. Both launches are actually very similar, but there is one big difference. The two big games Nintendo put out for the Switch 2's launch did not hit as hard as Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey. Mario Kart as a franchise is a system seller, despite what some people would like you to believe. But the game was also $80, and some people weren't fully on board with some of the new mechanics, like driving to the next course and a lackluster free roam mode. Meanwhile, Breath of the Wild innovated a whole genre, and Mario Odyssey was so good that some people's complaints about the Switch 2 is literally just that the sequel hasn't come out yet. Donkey Kong Bonanza was a great game and took a lot of elements from Odyssey, but it just wasn't Odyssey. I think when people remember the Switch's first year, at least when it comes to games, they think about these two games. But I don't think that's entirely true. Switch 2 has a problem with similar games kinda coming out close to each other. I know Kirby Air Riders is not the same as Mario Kart World, I know. But some people are gonna look at Kirby Air Riders and think, I just got Mario Kart. why should I bother? There's city trial mode! Yeah, there is, but casuals don't know that. They see Kirby Air Riders, the name Riders is in the game, and they're just gonna think it's just a racing game. And I think something similar kind of happened earlier this year, 2026, with the Switch 2 edition of Animal Crossing coming out into Pokopia, into Tomodachi Life. To a lesser extent, of course. I don't think those three games are similar in any way, shape, or form. Again, I know I bought 2 of them for goodness sakes. But to people who don't like this genre of game, you know, the comfiness, the relaxing nature, the simulations, I can see why they'd be getting pretty frustrated in this time period when all 3 of these games came out in relatively the same amount of time. In contrast, I think there was a good amount of variety when it came to notable Switch 1 exclusives. It felt like any gamer had a game they can latch onto. You like online multiplayer? Go play Splatoon 2. You like grand open world games? Breath of the Wild is right there. Story focused RPGs? Xenoblade 2, 3D platformer, Mario, fighting games. Okay, maybe not those. Ultra Street Fighter 2 came out though. In addition, the Switch had the incredible advantage that the Wii U was dog shit. Hey, look at a brand new Mario Kart, Pokemon fighting game, a Zelda game. Those aren't brand new games, but no one played the Wii U. 13 million units of the Wii U got sold. Those aren't new games, but the Switch had the advantage that no one bought the Wii U. Switch 2 editions are kinda like this, but let's be real here. They are incredibly hit or miss. Also, some of them are $80. What the fuck? With all due respect, Mario Party Jamboree, that whatever the fuck they added to you is not worth paying $80 for the game. Now, if you already have the Switch edition, by all means, $20 isn't a bad steal. That's what I did with Bella Bell Park. But $80 for those Switch 2 editions? That's a tough ask, I'm not gonna lie. I can't wait for that 3D Mario game reveal. 4K, 120 FPS, open environment like Bowser's Fury. I'm gonna be able to see every single individual strand of hair on Mario's mustache. I'm gonna be able to smell the musk coming off of Mario every time he jumps. The controller is going to feel like his blue overalls, like I'm touching his ass. Okay. I kinda get it. I feel like something that has been lacking a little bit when it comes to Switch 2 games is that they still have that Switch 1 DNA. I'm not saying they could run on Switch 1, but like you can tell they started development on Switch 1. I think Star Fox is the first game that feels like, yeah, okay, this can't run on Switch 1 no matter what. Everything else, I'm like, you can port it. It'd probably run like shit, like 10 frames per second, but you can maybe port it there. What we're missing with first parties, though, we're definitely getting with third parties. Wow, there are a lot of games actually coming out on Switch 2, and they're not completely chopped. Yes, they're still not the best looking versions out there. I'm not going to sit here and tell you these two look the same. But at least it doesn't feel like my Switch 2 is dying because I'm playing Final Fantasy VII Remake on it. I played Doom on my original Switch, and let me tell ya, I beat it and thought it was a good game, but god damn, that was crusty. Also, and maybe this is just me, but I kind of feel like Nintendo hasn't done a good job to hype some of their games. I think they're getting better now, but I don't know if it's because they think they know they're gonna sell, but like it feels so bare bones sometimes. Let me show you some examples. Metroid Prime 4. This game I feel barely received any marketing. And maybe that's because Nintendo was hoping this game would just get swept under the rug, like it didn't look like it reviewed too well. But they really didn't market this game all that much. I wasn't interested in this game, so maybe I just wasn't seeing a bunch of the commercials for it. But it felt so lackluster, the launch. And for most Switch 1 games in comparison, I feel like they had that big wow trailer that was well put together and got us hyped. Or a game-specific Nintendo Direct to get us hyped. At least for me, I felt like even ARMS got more hype than fucking Metroid Prime 4 did. That's a little crazy, don't you think? I think since Donkey Kong Bonanza, Nintendo has not done a great job in this first year to really hype up the games that were coming out. I think since Donkey Kong Bonanza, you know what? I'll take that back. I'm sorry, I'm a filthy liar. Kirby Air Riders did get a lot of Nintendo's attention. I'm sorry. But since then, I think Star Fox is the first time that this new model for Nintendo marketing has really worked for me. Like, I am properly excited for Star Fox, but I just, even for some of the games that I did end up getting, I wasn't hyped for them. And maybe it's because I'm not meant to be hyped for them. I was not excited for Pokopia. I was not excited for Tomodachi Life. But maybe they're not meant for that, and maybe that's why I feel this way. To give an example of a game that I do think should be getting hyped but isn't, am I the only one who thought that Splatoon Raiders trailer that we got a few weeks ago was kind of whatever? I haven't played since Splatoon 2, so again, I think the game isn't being marketed towards me. But I just feel like there's something so lackluster about everything about that trailer. Even the music was just kind of meh. And Splatoon's supposed to have exciting music. It just didn't work for me. I don't know why I feel this way, because I feel like there's a chance that this is all just in my head. Everything is the same, but it just feels so less Nintendo-y. And that's not inherently a bad thing, but I feel like their new strategy hasn't, again, been working for me. But also, and I can't reiterate this enough, numbers-wise, they're doing just fine. They're doing great even. Hey, did you see the rumor that there's a Nintendo Direct in June? Super Mario Galaxy 3? It's about to be generational. It's gonna look so good that it would be worth it at $90. Please don't do that, Nintendo. I kind of understand why maybe some fans are a little disappointed with what Nintendo has put out so far. Now more than ever, we have less confirmed for the future than ever before. You know, apart from 2015/16. Those were crazy times. But as Star Fox proved, that doesn't mean there's nothing else ready to be shown. I think it's undeniable that the Switch felt more hype than the Switch 2. It had so much going for it. But to say Switch 2 has been a bad launch is a little, well, it's a little much. If I had to choose what kind of first year I would have wanted, yeah, of course, I would have loved the 3D Zelda game. I would have loved the 3D Mario too. But I'm cool with what we got. It doesn't mean we're never going to get those heavy hitters again. It just means we're going to get them a little later than we thought. And maybe those second and third years of the Switch 2 are going to be more memorable as a result. There's still so many heavy hitters that the Switch 2 hasn't put out that we know we're eventually going to get. We know there's going to be a 3D Mario. We know there's going to be a 3D Zelda. We know there's going to be Zelda in general. We know there's probably eventually going to be a new Animal Crossing. We know there's going to be a Smash Brothers. Everyone loves Smash Brothers. Let's tone down the negativity a little bit. It wasn't that bad. It was 20 million units sold good. The system did fine for its first year. It did 20 million units sold fine. And that's more than the Wii U in its entire lifespan. Thank you for watching. Have a blessed day.